So it seems overnight a video was released of one of Diddy's freak offs with one of the male sex workers that he hired, and Daphne Joy, who is 50 Cent's ex. And we saw a couple different reaction videos, one by Murad Merali and another by Tariq Nasheed. And I mean, the video is salacious. You know, it's got all the, the craziness that was described in the trial. But the interesting thing was the polar opposite reactions of Murad and Tariq. They had like vastly different takes on the video itself and what it meant. So
don't forget to put the links in.
I'll I'll have the links to each of their videos in the description below. But which one do you want to start off with? Which one do you think will be more interesting?
Whichever way you want to go with it.
Okay. I think the first one to start off with is Tariq Nasheed's take. That was the video that I saw first, and his take was that, this was a direct hit from Diddy on 50 Cent. This was this was playing chess and trying to go after 50 Cent personally. Had a lot of things to say about how Daphne seemed to be enjoying herself and was, very participatory in this situation, had very little to say about Diddy. And pretty much everything he said about Diddy was really complimentary. And to me, just knowing a bit about Diddy, growing up listening to music, hearing, gossip, rumors, whatever, going through this trial, and knowing 50, same thing, like gossip, just kind of following him, growing up listening to his music and his career, it just doesn't really ring true. So I wanted to get your take on Tariq's take on this video release and everything with 50.
I think Tariq Nasheed's take on it is dangerous to the culture.
Really?
Yeah. The reason why this this particular video with the Diddy stuff is, interesting to me is because Tariq Nasheed is the one who coined the phrase foundational Black Americans, which is like spiritual death to African Americans. There's no way they should adopt that name.
Why?
Well, the birth of this title, Black, is invented to support the slave trade.
Mm-hmm.
This is an colonial, more specifically an American term that supports the institution of slavery. And the Bacon Rebellion, when they had the Bacon Rebellion and they had to go into the slave codes, this is one of the first times that the term Black was cemented, because they had to make a differentiation between Black and white, which at that time during slavery, you had a mixed culture of Black and white that was at the bottom of the totem pole.
Mm-hmm.
In order to put the Black element completely at the bottom of that totem pole, they placated the whites with certain privileges and distinctions and differential treatment from the Blacks, slaves. And this is what cemented that term.
Mm-hmm.
If you have some, Africans that come to America, or when you go visit Africa, this is not a term that is universal anywhere outside of the world that white oppression doesn't exist.
Okay.
Anywhere you find a white class that is seeking to oppress people of color, that is the only places you find this term black.
Mm-hmm.
There's many more things that people categorize themselves by, their tribes and their nations and different things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Black doesn't come into the sphere of influence. And so what that term does, black, it cuts a people off from their spiritual power.
Mm-hmm.
Africa is the home of spiritual power.
Right.
This is the birthplace of all religions. This is the birthplace of spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
So to cut yourself off like that, what a man calls himself, is very important.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of importance and there's a lot of spiritual power in a name.
Yeah.
And so this is not a smart move.
Right.
And this is coming primarily from Tariq Nasheed that promoted this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happens is the men and women that lost their lives on that passage from Africa to the Americas, they didn't call themselves foundational black Americans.
Mm-hmm.
They were Africans.
Right.
And those men and women and children that lost their lives, were killed and died during slavery, they called themselves Africans.
Mm-hmm.
So you cut yourself off from your ancestral spiritual power by dropping the name African.
Mm-hmm.
It's no different than the reason why a royal family has a coat of arms or a crest. That is a spiritual element
Mm-hmm.
that the ancestors of that particular family or that particular bloodline identify with.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought it was interesting that Tariq Nasheed comes up with this term, or he helped coin this term, and he pushes it out there. And you get a different insight into his logic with the way he processes this Puffy and this Diddy thing. I mean, this Puffy Diddy and this 50 Cent thing.
Yeah.
50 Cent is on the receiving end of some sort of disrespect because this tape has been revealed. Mm-hmm. This is in no way a reflection on 50 Cent.
Not at all.
This is his ex.
Right. And long time ex.
Long time ex. She can do whatever she wants to do.
Right.
Now, whoever releases it, what's her name? Joy.
Daphne Joy.
Daphne Joy has got a lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
50 Cent can sit his son down and explain this to his son.
Right.
He's in middle school. He's in 8th grade. Chances are he's going to come across this thing, possibly in a disrespectful way.
Right.
And it's an opportunity for 50 Cent to bond with his son and let him know, listen, this is what your mom did.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to tell it to you. If you want to talk to her, you can talk to her about it. But, it's these kind of hard knock things that make us strong men.
Right.
This is not a reflection on 50 Cent, and it's not a reflection on 50 Cent's son. And 50 Cent I'm really confused by this guy, Tariq, and his whole perspective on this and his tone. He's confusing, but he's not surprising because he's the one who come up with the FBA thing.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting because it's like he has no grasp on like who 50 Cent really is and his accomplishments and how he thinks. He thinks Machiavellian. Like he's got a really elevated sense of like leadership and power and how to make moves. And that's going from the streets up into business. He's a very successful businessman, and it all relates because it all works off the same basic principles.
Yeah.
But Diddy's like all over the place. Like everything about his business, about his personal dealings, like he's constantly going after other men's wives. Like everything is underhanded and shady. And so why are you saying he's such a great chess player? And I was like, he doesn't even understand the game.
No, he doesn't understand the game, and neither does Tariq. And if you're gonna give Diddy props for this video like this, listen, Diddy is dealing with some psychological damage, you know. So I give him grace in terms of him being a scarred black man. But what Diddy needs is to sit down with a therapist, because what he's carrying around, you can tell it's as a result of what happened to him in an early childhood. You know, and I grew up around mobsters, and I then grew up around gangsters and things like that. So I know the behavior patterns of this. And Diddy's father was a driver for Frank Lucas or somebody out east. He was a driver for him.
Yeah.
Gets shot in the head when Diddy's about 3 years old. Now, I have no idea who shot him in the head or why he was shot in the head. But you can tell from Diddy's behavior patterns, publicly and privately, what more than likely happened after that took place. Because once that takes place, there's going to be guys that show up to assist your mother.
Right.
And these men may or may not have her best interest in mind. They very well may be the men that pulled the trigger. There very well may be men that was close to her husband that pulled the trigger on Diddy's dad. And now they're there to comfort the fall. And whatever it is may or may not have been the activities that they could have gotten her involved in, Diddy could have been a witness to a lot of things. His behavior patterns are really obtuse for somebody that is, and I mean his private behavior patterns, this crazy stuff that he's doing, flying men around and being a cuckold and things like this. It lines up with some of the things he may have witnessed or understood that his mother was dealing with when he was a child.
Yeah.
You know, and so in that sense, I give him grace because he hasn't worked through all of that.
Or realized he even needs to work through it.
Or realize he needs to work through that. He may not even realize it, but he does, because what he's doing with Cassie and with these women and flying these men around cross state lines the way he is, at the same time, he is a successful businessman. He knows how to make the right moves to keep himself in the front or at the top of an industry. You know, he does have a particular talent that may not be writing, but he does know how to get a group of people in the same space. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he just probably grew up in a real party-like environment, where in an environment where the partying wasn't separated from the business.
Right.
Because that's what he does. He doesn't know how to separate the partying from the business.
Yeah.
He is the poster child of shitting where you eat.
Yes, I think that is a very appropriate example.
And so you got this guy, this other cat, Tariq Nasheed, endorsing Diddy at the same time he's pushing this foundational Black American thing on to an entire culture, which is detrimental in my opinion.
Yeah, it's misleading all around. Like the last like half of his reaction was like how bad he feels for 50 and how this is such a shame and a blight on his name. And I don't think 50 gives a shit.
And that's another thing he said. And obviously, he doesn't understand anything about legacy.
Mm-hmm.
He credits 50 with doing all the work that he does and, the accomplishments and coming up from what he's came up from. But he says, according to Tariq, this is going to put an asterisk on 50 Cent's legacy. Now, listen, I mean, to me, that sounds ridiculous. Yeah. There's history is lousy with examples that'll prove him wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll start with Josephine and Napoleon.
Right.
Josephine was known for doing what she did.
Very mischievous.
She was a little bit mischievous. And this was during a time when she was still married to Napoleon. Mm-hmm. Not only was she still married to Napoleon, some of her escapades may have involved his generals.
Right.
Okay, and this, she was doing this. She was participating in this rambunctiousness when she was Napoleon's wife.
She's the empress.
She was the empress. In no way is a historian or anybody that studies political science or military strategy or occultic principles or legacy or anything is going to say Josephine is an asterisk on Napoleon's legacy.
Right.
Josephine is Josephine.
Yeah.
And Napoleon is Napoleon. And they were married at the time.
Right.
And it's still not an asterisk on his legacy. She did what she did, and that has nothing to do, that does not tarnish what Napoleon did, for better or for worse.
No.
And so, that's just a ridiculous notion. You can go, there's so many examples of this. You can go further back in history to Livia and Augustus Caesar. Mm-hmm. Livia was married, and she had a child, and Augustus chose to marry her and be a stepdad to her child, which he raises and educates, and this child becomes Tiberius,
who succeeds to
emperor or Caesar. Mm-hmm. And so, in no way does the fact that she had a previous man and she had a child, and this part is more directed at these red pill guys that are completely misleading a generation of kids with this stupid talk.
Yeah. But it's just like a real misunderstanding of legacy. Like 50's real legacy is going to be everything he created. His music, his companies, his, the entertainment he's built. He's got a legacy that he's building already. I don't think he's been long past this Daphne chick. I think when you get to Merali's take, it's vastly different. He goes into Diddy like Diddy's walking around. Diddy's a cock because he's sitting there giving direction and all about this. And then also the fact that you can see how small Diddy is. So he can't satisfy, Daphne. And so this is how he has to do it. It even goes so far to the fact that he might be wanting to do, the sex worker that's hired to take care of Daphne. And he even says, 50 might have released this tape.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that 50 released it or that he would release it, but it would make more sense aside from the fact, that this is, his son's mom. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I don't see. It would make more sense that 50 would release it, and even being the having a child by this woman, Daphne. I mean, this is just a couple of conversations with your son.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have a spectrum of women on the planet, just like you have a spectrum of men on the planet. And, you know, this is where your mom lands on that spectrum, son. Yeah. So she's still your mother. You can still love her and have a relationship with her. But I want to share this with you so it doesn't catch you off guard out there in the world.
Right.
And so, you know, this Tariq guy, this is a really good example of convoluted logic.
Right.
It's so convoluted, it almost seems intentional to me.
Yeah, because I don't see how Diddy comes out on top on this. Like, there's nothing complimentary for him on there.
Yeah, because he's banging around with somebody's ex.
Yeah.
Probably, you know, the majority of women on the planet is somebody's ex.
Right.
You know, I don't understand. That's a real convoluted logic.
Yeah. It's somebody's ex, and then you're not even doing anything. You're hiring someone to do it, and then watching and holding yourself, giving directions in the corner. Like.
And then there's just tons of baby oil everywhere.
Yeah.
Just the whole place has got baby oil.
Yeah.
And then the chick, Daphne, is... I haven't watched the tape. I don't even know if I want to watch it.
You got enough description from both of the videos.
I got enough description. I don't need to see it. And I'm only wanting to talk about this as it relates back to the fact that this is the same cat that's pushing this foundational Black American thing, which is really, a pet peeve for me.
Yeah, it's a really skewed view meant to, like, derail.
Yes, it is. And I just can't imagine that it's not well thought out and not very lucid decision.
Yeah, one thing with the foundational Black American thing that popped out to me is, well, what if you have, you know, a family from Africa that, you know, immigrated here like in the, you know, the 70s or 80s. They're here. They have kids here. Their kids are legal citizens. They're now Americans. They're born here. They're not foundational Black Americans.
No, foundation.
They're African American. Like, you don't, foundational, it differentiates and makes it sound like you're still back where we've long passed and are like trying to get away from.
That's exactly what it's doing. So foundational Black Americans would relate specifically to the African Americans that have gone through the entire American experience, from being captives and prisoners of war and brought to American shores and told that they were slaves.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what you're doing by adding this foundation Black American is that you are agreeing with your oppressor,
right,
from his perspective, that this is what you are. You're Black.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? You were cut off from every tribe, every nation and country. You were cut off from family. So instead of grasping on to the African title and African Americans putting in the time and work to trace their bloodlines back to the continent of Africa and or look up records and see who their ancestor was that was stolen from a foreign country and brought here in chains, and connecting themselves to that journey, you know, what you're doing is you're cutting all of that off and just saying we're Black, which is what you were told you were.
Right.
It's not exactly what you were.
Mm-hmm.
You were part of a family, a community, a nation, a continent, a spirituality, a journey. You were a part of all these things, and all those things were taken away from you, and you were told you are nothing but black. And so what this whole foundational Black American thing is just puts a stamp on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very convoluted.
Yeah.
And then to know that it comes from this guy, and this is also his take on this Diddy thing,
Yeah.
is very enlightening. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? The way he sees this Diddy thing, as opposed to the other cat who did a video on it, Murad.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally different perspective on it. He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
see it at all the way Tariq Nasheed sees it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he takes it as, I think he takes it for what it is. Diddy, exactly what he's doing the whole time. That he's a cock. He's not able to do all these things, so he's compensating for all these things, and he really emphasizes, feeling empathy for Daphne because she probably didn't agree to release this and have her face all out like this, and that's not fair to her to just plaster it without her permission or at least foreknowledge, because it's going to be a blast furnace for her.
Yeah, well, I don't have anything disparaging to say about her. And, in terms of, a person, a human being, I think she's probably rethinking the move, being 50 Cent's ex-girlfriend, having a child by 50 Cent, and getting yourself involved with Diddy, which there's no way she didn't know they were rivals.
Right.
So for whatever reason, she chose to go throw herself under 50 Cent's rival.
Mm-hmm.
And now this tape is out, and now the chickens have come home to roost.
Right.
So you got to tie those together.
Yeah.
She knew this was 50 Cent's rival. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And she knew that she had a child by 50 Cent. You're a woman, you've got access to the world in her particular place, position. She's got access to the world. She did not have to go and choose to be with a rival, regardless of what, whatever transpired between her and 50 Cent. Mm-hmm. She could have still taken the high road and chose to not involve herself with this despicable human being.
Right. Yeah, I think Murad really looks at the true light of the video. Like, this is how Puffy looks, and it's not favorable. It's not complimentary, and it's not a chess game that he's winning.
No, it's not. It's not even a chess game that he's playing.
Right.
He's just thinking about a lust that he has to project onto other men, and he has to project on to women because he can't feel completely fulfilled because he doesn't feel like he has the equipment to fulfill himself.
Yeah.
So that still is not going to negate that appetite being there, especially if you're extremely ambitious and you're successful. That appetite increases, and it's up to you to have character, to have poise, to have principles, and have morals, and have ethics, and to control yourself. Because, the more you climb the ladder of success, the more access you have to the world and to people, and the more financial freedom you have. And especially if that financial freedom comes as a result of your own hard work and your own merits and your own innovativeness and intuition, et cetera, you have to have an accompanying degree of morality, responsibility, self-awareness, all these things that Diddy lacked.
Right.
And so you got this guy, Tariq. Obviously, all of this is oblivious to him. Yeah. Because he's siding with this cat Diddy, And so he's still not stopping while he's pushing this foundational Black American thing. He's still not stopping to ask himself about the things he doesn't know.
Right.
And not only that, about the things you don't know you don't know.
That's an even better question.